Hello, today we're going to be taking a look at how to use progressive verbs on IXL. On this particular activity, what you will be doing is identifying whether the verb should be in the past, present, or future. But let's do a really quick review of what we mean when we talk about progressive verbs. This should be review if you have seen the previous video and taken notes, and if you haven't seen that video, I really encourage you to go back and watch it. So, with all verbs, we start with the subject, and the subject is the person or thing doing the action. So it could be I, it could be you, it could be we, they, he, she, it. And of course, it could be more specifically naming the person or object. So it could be the glass, and the verb could be fell off the table. For example, it could be really anything. So we've got the subject, and then we're going to include the verb to be, and this verb is going to be in the present, past, or future. Okay, and it's going to always be formed to the subject at hand. So there's two things that are going to determine how that word be is conjugated or formed, whether it's past, present, or future, and what subject it's talking about. So for example, be in the present tense when our subject is it will be is. So that's present tense, and that's matching it. If it's going to be in the past tense, it will be was for this subject it. And if it's in the future, it will be will be. And the future is easy because that's going to be the same for all subjects. So there's a lot more options. Make sure to check out the last video to review all of that. Meanwhile, the next part is we have the verb, and then we add an ing at the end of the verb. And so our verb can be such as walk. Our verb could be hope. It could be run. So generally, we could just add an ing to the end of the verb, such as in walking. But if we have a verb with an e at the end, we take away the e, and then we add the ing at the end. So hoping becomes just like that, hoping. And then if it's a one-syllable verb with a vowel and then a consonant, we double that consonant so that the vowel stays soft. So run, we add another n to turn it into running. And remember, this is true for really easy verbs like walk, hope, and run, but it's also true for more complex verbs, such as, let's say, contemplate, which means to think deeply. Contemplate, it's a verb, it ends with an e, we just take off that e, and we add an ing, and now we have contemplating. So keep that in mind. We use a lot of simple verbs in examples, but really this applies to all verbs. All right, let's get into this now. So we basically just need to figure out what tense, past, present, or future, we're going to put in the blank. And we're going to do that based on the context. So here's an example. The football players blank now taking their positions on the field. Well, that word now indicates to me that it's happening at this moment. So I'm going to pick are because that's the present tense conjugation, or conjugation of the verb be. By the time we arrived at the campsite, my flag is already going up that they have the past tense right there, had arrived. The sun blank already setting. So it seems to me like it's going to be was because we had past tense, and so it seems like that past tense is going to carry through. Now, grammar is kind of a science, but also kind of um, an art. Words are kind of difficult in that way. So you're going to be using two levels of thinking. You're going to use your critical level of thinking, where you're thinking about the rules and applying them, but you're also going to use kind of that gut level thinking, where you just read the example and see how it sounds. So if you're doubting your answer, read it back to yourself and see if it just kind of sounds right. By the time we arrived at the campsite, the sun was already setting. That sounds good. Okay, back when Mr. Flynn was in middle school, teachers blank just introducing calculators into the classroom. Was, that's past tense, so I'm going to do were, past tense as well. We watched intently while the magician blank setting up for his show. So we have past tense watched, so I'm going to say it's still past tense was. Now, if I put will be in there, look how it reads. We watched intently while the magician will be setting up for his show. It doesn't really make as much sense as we watched intently while the magician was setting up for his show. So that's what I mean by just reading it back and checking. Awesome. And I'm going to leave you to it, and good luck.